Okay, welcome. Whew. Welcome to tonight's live. Now, I am just going to do some checks. I'm going to be going live on Facebook and I'm also going to be going live on TikTok. I need to press the button in just a moment. Yeah, let me just get down to that now. Go live. 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome. So I will start by sharing with everybody, welcome to the live. I think if you're on TikTok, if you can watch the replay of this, then excellent, then you'll be able to see the whole way through, because I don't want to rush this. You know, this is an enormous idea. There's a lot to it. There's a lot that comes with it, so I want to take my time with sharing this with you guys. So if you are tuning in, I won't be able to see TikTok on my phone. I'm going to try and get it up on my computer so that I can share with you. See what you're saying, basically. So if you have tuned in, bear with me a few minutes. We'll get started into the proper content in just a few moments. So I'm just going to check this here. Let's have a look here. Where have we got? Dashboard. Comments. Make sure we're live there. Go over to here, refresh it. So like I say, if you're on TikTok, I will just double check this now because I can't seem to see that I'm live there. I am live and there's plenty of people tuning in. Okay, now unfortunately I might not be able to see the live on TikTok, which is a right shame because I would love to see your comments and what you guys are sharing. I do have quite a large question list that you guys had been asking in the comments from the video that I made. And as you are tuning in, I just want to quickly say tonight's live is going to be about explaining this extremely bold statement. I want to be sharing with you on a very practical level what it is we're talking about here and why we're talking about it. Because quite frankly, the response that and I say we because it's not just me doing this, I mean it would be impossible for a single individual to do something like this. So the response that we had on those videos that I popped on TikTok were immense, so much so that, as I've said in my third video, it's quite emotional actually to see how many people would very strongly consider this as an idea. Now I know a lot of you asked very powerful practical questions in regards to what this looks like and how it works, so this is what I want to go through today. So again, bear with me, I just want to make sure that everything is working fine. My headphones are in, listen to a bit of music because it helps me focus my mind. So everybody on Facebook, so I am live on Facebook and TikTok, hence why I popped the Facebook and Instagram here, because I usually do post a lot on Facebook, but now as it appears it's going to be on TikTok too. So okay, we're looking good over here. Would have been really nice to see the live TikTok here, but I'm guessing that's not possible. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. No, it doesn't seem so. No, it's not going to do it. Alright then guys, well look, I will perhaps periodically pop my head around the phone so that I can see what's going on and just make sure that it's going well. So the most important thing is, can you hear me okay? So I would like the answer to that question. And in just a couple of minutes we will get started, so don't worry about that, we'll get started soon enough. And everybody on Facebook, Jody, Colleen, Rebecca, thank you so much for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. So let's just have a quick look here. Can you hear me all right? Yes, I can hear you. Lovely. Thank you, guys. Very, very, very appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. Okay. So, right, it's 2 minutes past 7. I did, there were quite a few people interested in coming live, so we'll give it a couple of minutes just to allow people to get on. But like I say, the most important question is, why are you going to bother spending your time sitting here with me this evening? And the reason why is because we're going to answer this question. By the way, it might seem a little bit cheesy, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about the whiteboard. I managed to pick one up today because I thought it would be nice to have a visual representation of what it is that we're talking about here. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of factors to consider. This very idea about giving people land, creating villages and creating these communities and webs of life where people can grow and interact and support one another, it's enormous. It's not just a and this is why I'm so grateful to all of the comments and the questions, because rightly so, you should be questioning why you're listening to whoever James Mallins is, right? You should be questioning who I am, because this is important. You know, we're talking about creating a way of life that impacts tens of thousands of people. That's our desire. Is it possible? Well, that's entirely up to you. You know, like, we believe it's possible, and that's exactly why we're trying to do it. You know, and yeah, there's a lot of factors to consider. We're talking about people, government, systems, all sorts of things, even down to the practicalities, which a lovely gentleman sent over in regards to the actual land itself. Soil, water, sewerage, waste. You know, what do you do with these things? All things we've thought about, all things we have considered, as well as everything else that's coming up. So, okay, 4 minutes past. We're going to get started very, very soon. Let me just check here. Elisa, and thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody who is tuning in, obviously as I'm going live on 2, you just have to apologise. I might not be able to respond to everybody's comments. Normally I like to do that, but you know, it might not be the best thing to do tonight, so I'm just going to crack straight on with it. So, okay, deep breath. Are you ready? Now, I might have just messed this up, but if you have got a notepad and pen, I'd highly recommend you grab one, because I want this to be something that we do together. I don't just want to be talking at you, because frankly that can get pretty boring when somebody's just trying to talk to you consistently. The big question, and I hope you'll be able to see me, 1 acre plots of land for free. Extremely bold claim. Thousands of you have commented on these videos asking questions about it. So, the idea is, let's just say, for example, you have a plot of land which is 100 acres. Now that plot of land might look like this, right? This is what that plot of land might look like. Now, the idea is that you would have 60% of the land as completely untouchable. That means that land goes right back to nature, it goes right back to wildlife, and it allows the environment, the ecosystems, and all of the wildlife, the flora, fauna, the trees, to actually recover. Now, again, I'm going to say a huge claim here, might upset some people, but agriculture in the way that it's currently done has decimated the soils. Most of you might probably know this. And not only that, but the insecticides and pesticides that they spray on tens of thousands of acres of land is completely annihilating life. All you have to do is simply sit and ponder that one. Insecticide, pesticide, and fertilizers. Now, insecticide, pesticide, destroying your insects. Insects are completely vital to the ecosystem, to nature. I don't want to, I want to keep this pace a little bit quicker, but completely destroys the ecosystem. This restores it, right? Here's your 100-acre plot of land. 60% of it, so in this sense, it would be 60 acres, would go totally back to nature for the purpose of it regenerating itself. And that's basically, relatively speaking, again, there's elements to this, like with every aspect of this idea, there are elements that factor into it. Let it do its thing. Yes, you might plant some trees. Yes, you might aid it in some way. Let nature do its thing. It will do a bloody good job of it. Now, the other, and I'm going to try and keep in the frame here, 40 acres, is where you can live. So the idea is that each person has a 1 acre plot to themselves. Now, some people said that's an enormous bit of land. Some people said it's not enough. It's interesting, the responses you guys gave. Some people said, nah, you need more. And some people said, no, you don't, you need less. We're going to stick with the acre simply because it is about living within planetary consumption and the footprint of each person. Now, bear with me here. I'd like to keep this nice and clear, nice and easy to follow. So here's a person, and you can tell that art was never my forte. Here's a person. Let's just say that person is me. I've got a car, a phone, monitors, computers, gadgets. The whole room is filled with stuff, right? Where did all the stuff come from? Where did the materials for the stuff come from? who built it, who made it, where was it built, right? For example, if my car was made in Germany and all of the materials from the earth, the metal, the ore, the rubber, if it was all pulled into Germany, assembled in Germany, which a lot of the parts would have been assembled elsewhere, so materials to those parts, parts to Germany, people to make the car to get shipped over to the UK, you've got, I'm not even going to try to list the insane amount of consumption of land that you have in that one idea. You marry this with everything else that we have, and this is why we're talking about 1 acre. Because if you can have everything from an acre, and by the way, this is a model we're seeking to prove, people will disagree, people will agree, that's fine. You know, this is what this is about. I don't want to talk at you, I want to talk with you. You know, this is something I want to discuss with you so that you can ask questions. Again, I apologise about TikTok, I can't see what it is that you guys might be commenting, so if you do have questions, we do have the website, and full disclosure, it is very bare bones. I pretty much threw it together in 8 hours. So it's very, very minimal. It's going to take me and the team another week to get it properly set up. It has a homepage, a get involved and a contact. And all of those should work, and you should get an email, and you should be able to send us a message which will come through. Reason why I said that is because not now, but at the end of this live, if you go to www.guyandEarthTrust.org.uk, I've put some videos up there, and I've tried to answer some questions in it. It's a charity to be set up. We're not set up yet. So remember, before you jump on the bandwagon, we're right at the beginning of this journey. Right at the beginning. So anything that might seem a little bit, well, I haven't done this, it's give it time. So coming back, every person lives off of an acre. Now, an acre does include couples and families. So if you have a family of 4, 5, 6 living on an acre, it can still work. Why? Because you can feed 10 to 20 people from an acre. Many people will disagree. That's totally fine. Permaculture and forest gardening are the two elements which allow for the amount of produce to support 10 to 20 people. Has it been proven? There are a few studies out there. Are we going to also prove it? Yes, that's the whole point of the first village, is to prove that this model is relevant. I'm just going to double check TikTok just to make sure everything's okay, so bear with me. Lovely, okay. Is it running before you've walked? Oh, okay, interesting. Well, that's an interesting question. Is it running before you've walked? Well, maybe, maybe not. It's kind of an irrelevant question because we're walking. We're walking, we're doing what we're, doing. I'm having these conversations. We're not going for, anyway, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. This is what this is all about, is chatting with you guys and seeing where your thoughts are and where you're at with it. And like I say, I'm going to explain deeper as we go along. Right, okay. So the idea is living from the acre. Now, I hope you can still see me, probably not. In this little bit here, you might have this plot where it's community. So this could be 15 acres, which is for community. And then, by the way, I did also want a nice green pen, but I didn't have enough time to get them, so we're stuck with black and red. Sorry about that. So here then what you'd have is, you'd have 1 acre plots surrounding this community area, all around here, where people and families will be living. Now, people have mentioned, which is quite amusing actually, one of the biggest things that people said, oh, this great idea sounds great, I'd love to do it, but I don't like people. And as much as it did make me chuckle, it is also a very serious comment, because look, the whole point of the acre is, yes, you're living in a village, you're living in a community, you're working together, but this acre allows you to have your privacy. It allows you to be able to retreat whenever you need to retreat and go and be in your own private space, in your own luxurious space. That's for you and you alone. Oh wow, you sent stars. Sorry guys, I'm on Facebook too. Thank you so much for sending that. That's really deeply appreciated. I will give a lot more gratitude after the live. I'm very, very grateful for that. So you'd have your privacy, but you'd have your 1 acre plots around the community area. Now, I do want to make a point here. a lot of people says I don't like people, etc., etc. I want to share this idea with you. You might not like people, but 99% of the world is in the same boat. 9 to 5, intense amount of bills, constantly working, constantly got stresses, constantly. There's an enormous load that is on the shoulders of the vast majority, if not 99%. You know, do your figures, do your numbers. There's an enormous load and pressure on the population of this world. So what I said in one of the videos is, how can you expect an individual to be the best version of themselves, as happy as they could possibly be, when they have, you know, £3,000 to pay every month, or they've got £1,200 to pay every month, or they've got a relationship to nurture as well as 3, 4, 5 children? It becomes unfair to expect the best of humanity when that's what we have to deal with. You know, in my opinion anyway. Again, you're more than welcome to disagree. In my opinion, it becomes unfair to ask the best of people, because most people are desperate. You know, people are desperate. So I just wanted to share that consideration for you. Now, of course, this is one idea, this is one concept, one principle. These might end up being 500 acres or 1,000 acres. You know, the size will depend upon the location, upon the farm, upon a whole host of factors. Now, I'm going to slip this in here really quick as well. The vast majority of people have mentioned about planning permission and the government will never let you do it. That's a completely fair comment, and I appreciate that deeply. I believe something different than what you believe, only in the sense that I believe in people, and I believe in the comments that are on these videos, and I believe in change. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't, and that might sound cheesy and corny, but the reason why I say it is because this is also down to belief. Now, I think it's fair to say that the vast majority of the world have seen the worst of... Now, am I getting too deep into things here? I'm going to say this, then maybe step back for now and answer the question later. The vast majority of people in the world have seen only limitation, only roadblocks, only control, only suffering. So I understand why you feel the way you do. Go and have a look on the videos that I posted. Have a look at the comments. People are absolutely desperate for this, which is, you know, it is about creating a way of life that supports people on the highest level. So we want to alleviate desperation, but people are also wanting to live this way of life. They're desiring it, right? Because, and I'm going to go forwards to go backwards, this way of life, which it is, right? Living with people, living with the land, living growing, living learning, living being a human being, right? Living actually being a human being. Because as far as I'm concerned, life at the minute, this isn't living. It's not living. How can it be? There's too much suffering, too much pain, too much limitation. I don't believe we're designed for that. Look at my body, look. There are loads of little red blood cells, white blood cells, little microbial life running around in my body, allowing me to exist and talk to you through James Mallins or whatever it is you want to call me. I can talk to you because my body exists. That blows my mind. I don't know if it blows yours. You're sat there watching this video through your phone, on your laptop, whatever it is. You exist. And maybe I'm getting a little bit too much here for people, so I'll rein it in and we'll ebb and flow on how far we can go with these conversations. But that blows my mind. And so my point simply is, I don't believe we're fully designed for limitation. So bear that in mind when you're thinking about how ridiculous or how incredible you think this idea is. And again, I'm not here to be king of the castle or whatever it is. I'm just a person who sees a way of life that is pretty damn awesome. And if the vast majority of the world could experience it, that would make me happy. Simple as that. So, right. Now, that's obviously the most important thing, is the land. Now, where are we going to be doing this? We're looking at Wales first, simply because Wales has the One Planet development. So in regards to many of your questions about government and about planning permission, the One Planet development is specifically created to help communities, villages, and groups of cooperative people coming together to live on the land, and they have a certain set of criteria to do so. So that's why we're going there first. Now, here's another thought for you. If you've got your pen and paper, write this down. If we can prove this works on one village, on a second village, on a third village, if we can prove this works, then what you'll find, that's a statement, I'm not going to make that. What I believe is that you get enough people to take this to a government, and the fact that it solves pretty much every single problem that I can perceive, I believe they may end up implementing it so that people can choose to live this way of life whenever they want to choose, however they want to choose to live it. So, again, something for you to think about. Is it here right now? Absolutely. We can go and do it tomorrow. Well, no, and yes, no, and yes. There's things to think about. There's things to consider. There are a lot of people who ask questions, which was testing how savvy we have been in our train of thought with thinking about this. And again, I'll explain a bit further and just get a drink. And I would also like to just check the other side of TikTok again. So bear with me. I'd like to just check this. Okay, beautiful. Still going, still working. Right. So Wales, then England, then Scotland, then Ireland. That's the idea. And then the rest of the world. Now, the rest of the world will catch up much quicker than we can set up villages. So the idea is that we get the ball rolling and other people start doing it and moving this forward. Now, another thing I want to mention here, which may answer some of the questions people had, was again going back to people. Now, I'll answer one of the questions here, which did make me chuckle. Somebody said, where are we? Well, I can't find it on here, but here we are. Do we have to wear certain clothes? Do we have to worship certain things? No. We are not interested in creating cults, and who knows, we might get that thrown at us at some point, which, it is what it is. You can make your own mind up. And this is what, going to go forwards to backwards. I want to promote this in this video. Think and decide for yourself how you feel about this. And more importantly, not only how you feel about me, because I'm the face telling you this and talking to you about this, but also the team that we have working on making this a reality. Ask yourself how you feel about who we are. Why am I sharing that? Because I am dedicating myself to this idea because I think it's awesome, as I've previously said. I am a human being who has emotions, who has feelings, and etc., etc. So that in itself is one of the things that makes up people. And so when you apply that to, let's just say, 80 to 100 people that might live on a farm, you've many personalities, many beliefs, many thoughts, many ideas, many pains, many forms of suffering, many forms of trauma. You have a whole host of elements which come together to make up the forming of a cooperative, of a village, of people. And so we have to think about this. And again, a lot of people say it's never going to work because of people. Well, I understand why people would say that. It makes total sense to me. We're not stupid. The world is what it is. But again, my counter to that and my intense belief is that give people the space, right? Give people the space and then let them breathe. Let them come back to themselves and then decide, who are we as people? What can we do? So how can we relate to one another? How can we get on? How can we let the conflicts and the arguing and the fighting behind? How can we let go of the things that might trigger us, if that's the words you want to use, trigger us, might annoy us and piss us off? It's about giving people time. And I believe in that. That's why I'm doing it. So anyway, little bit that I wanted to share. I also wanted to just kind of briefly go over the actual domain itself. Now again, please don't quote me. Please don't judge me on my artistic creations. I'm going to do my absolute best. But we've talked about the village, the land itself. Now I'd like to talk about the domain. And as I'm talking about this, I also want to point out that there's a lot to this. A gentleman literally messaged me a moment ago and said, what about power and your backups for power? He said, what about your water supply, your heating, your housing, your soils, and your sewerage? Excellent questions. You're talking about hours of going through that. So I will briefly cover it, but again, I want to get through the nitty-gritty of the practical elements and the questions that you guys asked. So here's a domain, okay? A 1 acre plot. So here's your acre plot. Doesn't have to be circular. It fits with the topography, the landscape, the landscape that you're working with at the time. So you might have over here, I do wish I had green, but it is what it is. Over here you might have a tree, an orchard. Okay, you might have a set of orchards over here. Of course, this is depending upon the sun, it depends upon the wind. There's a whole host of elements involved in this, of which it's very important for me to plug in here that anybody who's interested in doing this and hasn't got a clue on how to grow, hasn't got a clue on how to build a domain, or the education and the support and the aid will be there to help you to set up this domain, to set up your home, to learn how to grow. That's the point. Again, remove limitations. Did you learn how to grow vegetables in school? If you did, awesome. I didn't. Did you learn how to build a naturally built home? If you did, awesome. I didn't. Did you learn how to relate to nature? The list goes on. I didn't. If you did, awesome. But perhaps you didn't. It's not always been in our curriculum. So we'll be putting in place something to help support and educate people on that very topic. So here might be your orchard. For example, you might have beehives here. Now, vegan and meat and vegetarian is something I'm going to touch on later. I'll quickly cover it now. If people were going to raise meat, cows, if people were going to raise cows and chickens and etc. and perhaps sheep for meat, we haven't factored that into this because it takes up too much land, which is a huge part of this. Now, some of you that might turn you off, I totally understand that. We're going to be still in discussion with it. For now, it doesn't fit this model. So I'll leave that one with you. Don't take that for absolute gospel. Again, removing limitations, but we have to work with harmony with nature. That's one of the conditions. And if it isn't particularly in harmony with nature, we've got to think about it. So I just want to leave that with you. So, for example, this is an acre plot. Having cows and sheep, you might need 10, 15 acres for that. Anyway, I'll leave that with you. So you might have beehives here, you might have a pond over here, you might have your home here, vegetable beds that you might have with your strips, whatever it is you want to do. What else? Around the outside, now the team that we have, we wanted to change the word from living hedgerow. This enclosed hedge, I will try to say. So right around the outside here would be a hedge with blackberries, because you get blackberries. You might have herbs in there, you might have trees growing out of the hedgerow. So you're able to produce food from the very thing that's giving you your privacy. You know, and over here you might have a nice cute little gate which comes in so that you can go in and out, and maybe over here, I don't know, it totally depends upon what your desire is and, you know, if it is in harmony with the land. So your naturally built home, which may have solar panels on it, it might have a conservatory with glass, and you might have passive solar gain, which is the sunlight going into the conservatory heating your home. You might have biomass heaters, which, thank you to the gentleman who asked the question, I'm sorry I didn't get your name, about heating your home. You know, have water from a local spring, from a local boring a well. So there's all kinds of elements that come into this, and yeah, it's a whole design process. You know, this is about you being given an acre plot of land and being able to design your paradise. You know, like the whole aspect of making money, at least for us, is we're bored of that. I don't know about you guys. I really don't know about how you guys feel about this, but we got to say it how it is. We're bored of that. You know, the whole idea of making tens of millions of pounds and buying a 21 plate, whatever it, boring. We're not interested in that. We're more interested in being able to walk out of the door in the morning, being able to feel the wind on our face, the grass between our feet, the vegetables growing over here. That's what we care about. Okay, that's what drives this idea of this way of life. And you might not have a £80,000 car, but what you would have and this is totally dependent upon what your guys' passions and interests are, because most of you might say, yeah, whatever, I'm not interested, which is fine. That's preference, that's totally fine. What I am trying to share though, this way of life, I struggle to find the words to encompass how outstanding I feel it is, and profound. Because not only does it provide you as a person and a couple and a family with everything that you could possibly need in regards to a high quality housing, right? We're not just talking about mud huts. A lot of people, quite amusing. A lot of people mention about mud huts. After this live, if you've got a notepad and pen, Google a cob house and I'll say no more, right? After this live, Google a cob house and I'll say no more. The way you can design them is mind-blowing. Now, other people's questions about planning permission, yes, you're absolutely right. The way the world is going, I'm not going to get political with it. I'm not going to go into the news. That's a whole can of worms. Oh, you make up your own mind. That's all I'm going to say. You make up your own mind. So if there is a solution that is so profound, which I believe we're providing, then to me it makes sense that as the days go on, people, governments, councils will end up looking to adopt this, and this is where a lot of people will disagree, and I totally appreciate that. I do. I appreciate it. I get it. I understand it. I have to think differently, though. In my bones, in my personality, I have to think differently to that, because it just doesn't make sense. It's completely and utterly illogical, and the responses from the videos has inspired me even more to pursue this as an actual tangible way of life that can exist for all people who want to live it. I mean, so far we've already got 5,000 people pretty much that have said they wanted to live it, so that's already extremely overwhelming, and we've not got the first plot of land yet. We're looking for the money for it, so if you're a philanthropist who's watching this video, drop me a message, because like I say, the money for the first plot of land is what we're looking for, and we do know where it is, and we've already fell in love with it, and etc, etc. Where was I? This plot of land provides you with all of your food, which is of the highest quality level. Again, that's a much bigger conversation that we can do in another live. The quality of food that you get from something like this does not even come close to what it is that's provided in supermarkets. Don't believe me? Try and find a local organic grower and have a potato or a carrot or a broccoli stalk stem from an organic grower, and then go to the supermarket and try it. There's no comparison. Does not even come close. And you're able to support yourself all year round. So the idea is, whatever you're paying on your food bills, whatever you're paying on your housing, whatever you're paying on your energy, whatever you're paying on your gas and your electric and your water, it's all eliminated. Right? All of those bills and those monthly outgoings are taken out of the equation. What does your life look like when that happens? Again, credit to the individual who messaged me about the heating, power, housing, soil, sewerage and water, because he said, obviously, it's not as easy as you're making it sound. Well, he didn't say that. He was very nice about it, actually, so apologise if you're watching. Deeply apologise. That was total projection. He mentioned that you should be considering it, and we are. Yeah, of course. It's, again, the complexity of this idea is vast. It's not like it's an easy thing that you just figure everything out straight away. It's vast, and every plot of land is important to consider. Every plot of land is important to observe and figure out how it goes. And of course, we've got people in our team who are experts at doing that. And no doubt, if any of you are, drop me a message, because we want to work and collaborate with people. This is not something that 2, 3, 4, 5 people end up doing. This is a collective effort. So I just wanted to let you know that we are, of course, thinking about all of those things. There's a huge amount of stuff that applies to all of them. And yeah, there are things that will pose as roadblocks in some senses. But again, I believe in it. I believe in what we're doing, and I believe in the change of it. It's already appearing to happen. It's happening in the Welsh Government. And like I say, just let life do its thing. Let life do its thing. What else did I miss out here? No doubt any huge amount. Orchard, bees, hives, ponds, vegetables, your home, conservatory, greenhouse that you might have, where you start all of your vegetables, seeds, etc, etc, etc. Again, don't judge me on my drawing skills. It is what it is. I'm just trying to do it for demonstration purposes. So the idea of this is it supports the entirety of yourself and your family. You might have chickens. You might have chickens. You might have all sorts. Okay, you might have all sorts. Chickens give you eggs. They can also heat up your greenhouse. This is permaculture. Some of you might know it. Some of you might not. That's fine. It's, go and have a look on some YouTube videos. Have a look. Study it for yourself. It's very interesting. Right. There's a whole host of things, but my mind's gone blank, and I'm not gonna push that. So that's the domain. That's what people would end up having. Now, you imagine. Okay. Now here's a really important thing to share. Now I want to make sure that I'm being very clear and not going too quickly. Just going to check TikTok. Bear with me 2 seconds. Great. Would children need... here we are. Thank you. Now, that's why I looked. I always happen to overlook this, and I apologise to the bottom of my heart. Children. This idea is immensely about families. About families, about couples, about individuals. It's not about leaving anybody out. But families in particular, this is huge. Because to give a child the space like that to grow up and live in, words don't come close to explaining how profound that is. Right? If you teach a child from birth, and by the way, we're getting into a very interesting topic here. This is probably an entirely new live. The way of life a child can have by living by this philosophy, this model, this way of life, maybe it needs another live. It's too big. We're talking about the education. We're talking about the freedom of the child and the freedom of the child's mind. We're talking about the parents being supported by the local community, being able to have time and space, knowing that the people around them have proved themselves to be genuine, loving and authentic people. Right, not people with hidden agendas or hidden thoughts or feelings, which again, look, we're getting very deep in conversation here. So that you're going to have to bear with me. I need to approach that conversation in a more profound way, because again, we're talking about people. People are in a rough place. Some, again, sorry for projecting. Some people are in a rough place. And so how can you expect the best of those who are suffering? Bear with me. Okay, so children, home education, supporting children, supporting families, and we want to factor into this idea. So by the way, we're looking for tens of millions of pounds, right? So for those of you who think, this is a pipe dream, you've no idea. No, we want tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of pounds to make this work. Why? Because one of the questions that you guys asked was, is your house built for you? The answer is yes. Financially. So your house is built for you financially, but you have a say in the building of your home, and you might want to build your house yourself. You might be an expert natural builder and you know exactly what you're doing. Great. You also might want the community to help you. So in that little bit that we had with the full village, and you have everybody around here, you might want your community to help you to build your house, which would be a thing that a very important factor of making this work. So your home will be paid for. This is what we want to include, right? Again, what's the catch? Is there a percentage? No. No. Charity element, we want to pay for, your home to be built. So that's all the materials, whether it's wood, whether it's cob, whatever it is. Hempcrete, there's all sorts of things. I'm not going to go through the list now, it's endless. There's all sorts of ways of building naturally that gives you a home which is of the highest quality, better than what you might see in modern day housing. The other thing is financial support for transitioning. If you have £2,500 coming out of your bank every single month that you can do nothing about, you have to pay it, we want to find a way, listen to my words here, we want to find a way to support the totality of that amount of money so you can transition from one life to the other. Right? Again, why are we doing it? Because we're bored of the way life is. We're bored of the way life is. It can be different and it should be different, I would say. Again, I'm talking very bold claims. It can be different, it should be different. That's my belief system, our belief system. I apologise. I know you're hearing it coming out of my mouth and it's James. I'm not the only one. And this has been an idea that's been born not just through my mind and heart, and not just through the team that we're working with, but all other people around the world. We're not the only ones doing this. There's all sorts of people doing it. In different ways, shapes or forms. We just want to do it mass scale. We want to do it all around the world. Whilst, now here's a very important element that I'd like to share with you guys. Pen and paper, write this down. We want to do this whilst respecting the current cultures and countries and people of those cultures and countries of where they're at. It would be highly arrogant of me to walk into another country or county, plant my feet down and say, I'm going to do this, and rude word to everybody. We want to make sure that we're seeking to integrate with those people, respecting their way of life and living in a way that's not just harmony for the villages we want to create, but harmony for the people that live in the surrounding environment, right? This isn't a village cult where we close off the doors, we stick up barbed wire and nobody can come in. It's about allowing for the localization, which is obviously one of the key words, localization, and the transfer of food, produce, crafts, everything that goes with it, transferring it through the local people. So you might, for example, live near London, right? There might be a village, town or county round near London, and there's one of these that pops up. We want it to connect with those elements that are around it. You know, this is about seeking to make it work. Now, what does that look like? It's getting there, and it will get there every day, every week, every month, and every year. It's not going to happen instantaneously. It's going to take care, consideration. It's going to take love. Don't know how you guys feel about that word. Bear with it. You know, stick with it. Just words. Whatever your interpretation is more than welcomed, right? It's going to take care, consideration, love, thought. Right? It's going to take a lot of thought. It's going to take a lot of consideration, and it's going to take something more. Something better than what I think exists at the minute. I'm not just talking about myself, that would be extremely arrogant. I'm talking about choose these, I'm sorry, there's no way I can downgrade these words. It takes a conscientiousness, a consciousness, a set of individuals, yourselves, who are willing to make this work. Right? Who are willing to make this work. Are we being violently aggressive and no, that's the point. You know, this idea is one where it is I'm not going to say that because that's actually a massive assumption. We don't want to be intrusive. We want to let this flow. It wants to be easy. Is it going to be easy? Maybe not. Can it be easy? Yeah, it can. So you, again, let me just say this slowly. Decide for yourself how you feel I'm approaching this, how you feel we are approaching this, how you feel about myself and the words that I'm saying. Because again, everybody can talk a great game, can't they? But it's who somebody is on the inside that really matters when it comes to talking about something this enormous. So again, I might be getting too much for you at this point, but again, bear with it, right? I want to be myself when I'm talking about these things. So we've covered the village, we've covered the plot. Is there anything else to touch on in regards to that? We've talked about the money. The money is going to come from philanthropists and benefactors. We might do crowdfunding. Now, this was something I kind of was edging on. It's not that we weren't considering this, but this would require putting out links and asking you guys for a $5 each. And that would then go into the first village, which is roughly going to be about 1.5 million. The next plot of land that we're looking at is going to be about 4 million. Where are they? I'm not going to reveal that just yet, and I hope you can appreciate that. I have hinted at, a certain Wales, but I'm not going to say exactly where. 1.5 million for the first plot of land, we don't have it yet. 4 million for the next plot of land, we don't have it yet. And then tens of millions of pounds put into it by people who have more than enough and want to give to those who want to live in a way that saves, I can't use that word, in a way that supports, restores, regenerates and brings life back to planet Earth. All right. I don't know if you guys have children or if you're gamers yourself. I saw that Fortnite has partnered with Heinz to put a video game out there about the degradation of soil. That's in a video game. So if none of you are video gamers and you're not bothered about video games, in a video game right now, they've put a game in it which is highlighting the importance of soil degradation, which is crippling agriculture. Some of you might be farmers. I really apologise about this. I'm not trying to be completely rude and obnoxious with your with anything. I'm just trying to say it as I believe and perceive it to be. Some of you may disagree and agree, and that's totally fine. But the point being, they're talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. It's all people ever talk about. How do you solve it? It's right in your face, in my opinion anyway. So that's where the money comes from. Is that absolute delusion? You make up your own mind. I'm totally okay with both. But like I say, you will see us pursuing this until the very end. You know, we're going to do this for as long as we physically can to make it happen for thousands of people, is our intention. So again, you make up your own mind. So what is another important thing? So we've talked about the villages, we've talked about the plots of land that people would have. You're not going to have to pay any money to go into it. Again, it's given to you for free. So the idea is, I haven't even talked about that yet, apologies. So the idea is, Andrew, thank you for that question. This is what Andrew said. Out of curiosity, can you tell us why you settled in Wales? The One Planet development. Pure and simple. They are already trying to make it possible for all people to do this in that location. So that's why we've chosen Wales. And will it then eventually end up going all around the world? I think it's logical to me. You know, it's logical that if this solves every single societal problem, governmental and environmental problem you have, why would it not go all around the world? Mental health, physical well-being, relationships, children, economics, ecology, ethics, empowerment of people. It covers everything. And again, let me slow this down because this is very important what I'm about to say. I actually want for you guys at home with your pen and paper or whatever you've got, I would ask of you if you would seek to the best of your human ability to prove that this is a ridiculous idea. I would ask of you to try, within the best of your human ability, to prove that this is a ridiculous idea. Why? Because the more you try to disprove it, not only do we then find out the better way to do it, and we iron out the kinks, we iron out the issues, the problems, and the things that might arise that make it more challenging, but we also start to then realise, well, actually, it does just make sense, right? Again, I'll let you make up your own mind with that. No money. The idea is you don't spend a penny, even if you've got 500,000 or 6 million in your bank account, you don't spend a penny to move onto the land. Look, you've got 6 million and you want to give 3 million to the idea. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Set up another village. But the idea is you don't have to put anything in. Why? Because it takes out of the equation I put this in, so ... If everybody comes on an equal playing field, then everybody is allowed to be as equal as you possibly can. Why do I say that? Well, that's dependent upon whether you see yourself as equal to other people or above or below other people. And that's, again, another conversation, which perhaps is another video. You don't put any money in, you get it given for free on the condition, here's your but, what's the catch? On the condition that you seek to live in harmony with the land and with other people. If you're going to be violent and aggressive and steal and anything else to other people, you'll be asked to leave. I would have thought that would have been obvious, right? And maybe that was a bit rude of me to say it like that, and I apologise. That is it, right? And also, if you're not living in harmony with the land, if you're wanting to cement your entire plot, and it doesn't work, does it? Because then you're destroying nature and you're certainly not going to be able to grow what it is that you want to grow. So again, the idea is live in harmony with nature, live in harmony with other people, and then we have a conversation. The other most important question, and this is one that I cannot answer for you properly right now because it's too enormous, how's the application process go? That is something we are still pondering. We're not ready to do that yet anyway. However, again, the idea is that how does that application process go? Well, it's, questions about what you're willing to do. That's, again, too big right now. You'll have to leave that with us if that's okay. You might think to yourself, well, that's the most important question. We've of course thought about it, but it's that big. In the very process of talking about the land, which is big enough in itself, talking about how we go about an application process is even bigger. Now, the idea is that in a few years' time or sooner or whatever, you have no limitations, there might end up being tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of acres released for this to work, of which point your application process gets a hell of a lot easier. Okay? Is there still elements of people? Yes. So that's a question that we will cover again in the days to come. And I hope you just have to appreciate that requires more thought on our part. And the very fact that we are thinking about it with such care and attention, I hope shows that that's got to be done right. It's got to be done ethically, fairly, it's got to be done with inclusion, and it's got to be done without making other people feel like they're missing out or they're going to continue to suffer. That's a whole question within itself. Just going to check TikTok again real quick. Wonderful. Okay. I love this. I'm in Cardiff. Oh, thank you. I didn't catch who your name was, and I apologise because it would have been nice to see all of the comments. Location. So, yeah, obviously location, Wales, Scotland, England, Ireland for now. Are people going to start doing this in other countries? Yes. Probably without... I don't know. Again, too big of a question. This is not about us being the leaders and kings and queens of the castle and saying, look at us, it's not about that. Quite frankly, I'm also want to relax, probably like you do. Am I willing to give every ounce and second of my time in the preceding months and years? Absolutely. And I will do it with absolute willingness and conviction. But I expect thousands of people to want to do this and help to set it up. Again, we're moving away from a place where limitation and suffering is our primary form of existence, our way of life, the way that we live now, and we're moving towards a way where we're able to live in a way that makes sense. It's not about sacrificing what you have, which again I guess is subjective, I guess is an assumption. I'm saying something that's based upon what James Malins thinks, but our way of life at the minute, this is not going backwards. We feel, and I know a lot of you guys do as well, it's going forwards, it's going to something different, something else, right? Something more profound. Right, now let's have a look at some of the questions and I'll try and answer the ones that I can right now. Sorry. Again, I can't stress enough, whenever you consider this idea, my face and name assigned to the live you're watching is less relevant than the idea itself. So if you're excited about this, regardless of how insane or how not possible you think it is, look, that's fine. That's all belief system. However you feel about this, be excited about it, talk about it, think about it. Google it, YouTube it, permaculture, forest gardening. Have a look at these things and explore it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it and this is what we want to do. Are we the ones that are going to govern it? And oh my goodness, we're going to be the ones that... It's a delicate process. Maybe that sounded really interesting. We want to get to the point where, again, it's available to all people. We don't want to be the ones who are absolutely, another system of control, and it's not about that. It's an easy way of life that we want to create. So maybe I should have been more profound in saying that, but I'll get to that next time. So, okay, the first question. So we'll go into the Q&A now. Now, I would have liked to answer questions from TikTok, from Facebook. It's going to be impossible for me to get through all of the comments. So if there are any that I haven't seen and we haven't covered, we'll do another live. We'll do it again and again and again and again, and we'll keep doing videos and keep posting so that you can keep updated. Before I do this Q&A, I do want to say the very simple and limited website that I have just thrown together, it does have a contact form on there, it does have a newsletter sign-up form, as well as videos and a bit more information to kind of make it clear. I've done it I say I just because I built it, but we've all put it together. We've done what is the Gaia and Earth Trust, what does it mean for you, how does it work and why, and there's images and there's videos that are connected to that, so you can go and have a look at that, either do it now or after. www.gaianearthtrust.org.uk. That's the website. I'll share it again in the days to come, so don't worry if you miss it. Okay, how do I pay for my house or get it built? Ideally, definitely, again, this is an evolving thing. So for those of you that think, this guy has no idea what he's talking about, it's evolving. I didn't think that video would go as well as it did, in the sense that people with interest. So I've wanted to not leave you in the dark. We're very practically working towards this as a literal way of life. We're doing it. We're seeking to create it for as many people as possible, but obviously I didn't expect it to be so intense so quick. So it's evolving. It's going as the days go on. How do I pay for my house or get it built? House is paid for you. You can either build it yourself if you have the skills, which obviously will be a factor. You've got to know how to do it, or the community or people will help you build it for you. Planning permission, huge thing. Water, sewerage, solar, energy, all of those, everything's got to be factored in. Everything. It's quite exciting process of design, right? This is about designing a home that you will live in, which I personally think is awesome. I think it's amazing, and this is something that we want to live. Again, we haven't got the land for the first one yet, so it'll be something that comes in time. I want to be very transparent and clear about this, because a lot of people said, sign me up, how do I get? It's like, well, I wanted to be very clear. I just asked the question, so this is about being very clear on where we're at. The next thing is the money, and that's what we're going for. Somebody said, I have no skills but would love to learn. Don't worry about it. If you have no skills, the idea is, it would be nice for an individual to have a skill or something they can offer. If you feel like you can't offer anything, start now, right? I guarantee you can offer something, because this then comes into the personal aspect of belief in yourself, belief in what you're capable of, belief in you as a person, which, that's another whole topic. That's kind of what I have always done before I started doing this. I guess my story I can talk about at another time. I have no skills but would love to learn. You will have an opportunity to learn. Okay, we want to remove all limitations and roadblocks for anybody to live this way of life. So that's that. How are the applications sorted through? That was a question. That's a huge question. Again, that needs more thought, more time, more consideration. That's something we'll discuss another time. How do people apply and where do we sign up? That was another question. I've done the website, obviously. I've done the website. So you can go to the website, you can sign the newsletter, and then at that point, every week or a couple of weeks, again, we don't have as many, there's 3 of us at the minute. There's 8, 9 of us, but doing the main aspects of this, there's 3 of us, so we've got to expand. So if any of you are very interested and want to help with this idea, drop me a private message, okay? We did talk about actually doing a very small crowdfunding campaign to raise money to pay for people to help with this. So that's also something we might look into. So again, how do you keep in touch? TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, website, the usual thing. This is how we all connect, isn't it? Can we have chicken, goats and cows? Chickens, yeah. Again, for meat, that's a question of... That's another great question, Max. I've just seen that. Thank you for asking that. I will get to that in a moment. So, chickens, yes. A goat, yes. Other animals, yes. It's dependent upon the land. It's dependent upon the use of that animal in the system that's created. What's the system? The 1 acre. So, if a goat or a chicken or anything, again, logical. Again, we don't want to be completely putting roadblocks in for people. It's just about being sensible with the harmony of the land, right? Because you might end up then having, if you don't have, not that goats and cows and chickens are particularly disruptive, but certain animals, you might want your robins and your rare birds and other things to end up flying into your domain. You might want them to be a part of your ecosystem and a part of your nature. So it's a bigger question. But the answer is yes and no, depending upon, if you want 100 cows or anything. Then you might as well just have 100 acres for 100 cows, and it makes no sense. Can I bring my pets? This is a very, very important question, mainly because even with myself, I have a dog who I love very deeply. I no doubt those of you who have animals and pets you love very deeply. I'm also having to think about this as a part of the idea, right? A dog disrupts the natural flow of the acre, right? Is it to say you can't have a dog? Please leave that with us. Yes, no. 5 dogs. It's all about exploring how those animals fit in with your acre. So, for example, my dog Flex, I might have a little harness on him, not a collar, so I don't personally use those on him, but he might have a harness, and I might put a little cart on him so that he can walk around and take the vegetables. I don't know, maybe ethically for some people that's ridiculous, and I'm totally open to that idea. I just thought it was kind of interesting. He loves it. He loves doing things like that. So a massive question about pets. Pretty much everybody has pets. The pet industry is a huge thing that needs to be explored further and discussed further. It needs to be done with care, with love, with compassion, because a lot of people's pets are family. They're family. They're very deeply important to them, and they're, to leave them behind leave it with us, please. That's a huge question. One that even I'm tied into. So real. I hope you can see this is a real element. This is me being a human being, sharing with you that it needs to be discussed more. How does an elderly person fit into this? The way that our community should be set up is in a way where we can also include the elderly and the people who might not be completely willing, completely able of body. Now, can you have 90 out of 100 people as elderly? Well, of course not. That doesn't work, because you've got to have people able to dig, grow, etc., etc. But we've got to find a way. That's up for discussion still. We need to explore it. We need to talk about it. Again, there's so many facets and elements that come into that. People with parents that they're caring for. It's a huge question. Enormous. Leave it with me. But the answer is, in a rough sense, yes. Again, the whole philosophy is to find as little limitation for people as physically possible. So please don't take any of these answers for gospel that I'm sharing. Please don't do that. This is an evolving process that requires conversation, not just with us, but with you as well. If you say to yourself, that's impossible, you can't do that, you've got to give people a chance, we've got to think about it, we've got to talk about it. So, 1 second. Sorry if that's loud, by the way. Just going to check TikTok again, real quick. Wonderful. Great. Invite. Yeah. All right. Great. By the way, sorry. I know that this can be loud sometimes, so I might be killing some of your ears. So I apologise about that. I do want to state that I might in a very real sense, skipped some of the most important aspects of this. There's things that might have, there's a lot here. We're not just talking about, hey, here's your 1, 2, 3. This involves the entirety of the human condition, society, and everything that comes with it. So it's like, if there's anything that I've missed, I hope we've got them in the questions. And of course, we'll do more videos, more lives, and we'll share more. Someone said, what about healthcare and schooling? Now, this is something that is, again, very important. We could even start going into elements of this that people don't enjoy. How do I answer that question? Healthcare, the idea is that your plot of land that provides you with pure water, incredibly grown food that's grown on your doorstep, eggs and everything that isn't laced with insecticides, pesticides, you're living in a stress-free environment the vast majority of the time. Again, conflicts, we're not delusional. Obviously there's conflicts that can come up between people, we've got to resolve them, we've got to figure out how to live together, relate to one another, understand one another. There's a whole host. If you're living in nature, science has proved this, 1,000 different ways we could talk about this. This acre plot of land is designed to give you with the environment of which allows your mental, physical, and if you like, spiritual well-being to be as nurturing as possible. The question is, will disease and everything else still play a factor? Look, I believe if you're given the environment that allows you to have a healthy body and a healthy mind, you're going to get sick less often. You're going to have less injuries. You're going to be less prone to being unwell. So will there be healthcare and schooling? Yes, there's nothing to say that people can't go to local doctors. Will the capacity be to... Loads of questions that come with that. Enormous amount of questions. We're still thinking about it. We're still bringing it. But it was an excellent question. So thank you for asking it. Very, very good question on the healthcare. The answer is yes. The answer is it needs to be discussed more. The answer is that it's an element that we're going to evolve, and hopefully we'll evolve it with the help of you guys as well. So healthcare, schooling. Schooling is one of the big ones. I feel that the way that you can do the schooling... I say I feel like I'm the one that's done all the research. There's enough people on this planet who have proven that if you give a child, a young adult, or anybody else an environment to learn which fits their own style of learning and their own personality and makeup, they're going to become a completely different human being as to whether you give them something that's very structured and rigid, right? Education, yes, obviously. We're talking about, there's all sorts of mathematics, geometry, the mechanics of the stars, our oceans, nature, people, all of these topics which are often taught in schools. Yeah, of course, they're still a part of these communities. This is about exploring the nature of the human condition for all people. Now, you'll have to apologise here. I'm going to go for as long as I can. I might be slowing up a bit. It's been a long day. So I apologise if I start flagging a bit. So I hope that answers it. There might not be the most profound answer in regards to healthcare and schooling, but the answer is yes, it will be, and yes, we're considering it. In what capacity? It's still going to be discussed. Again, it's part and parcel. People have asked if they could use the land to teach or sell things. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the enormous points of this, is that your financial outgoings are completely let go of, unless you've got a phone bill or whatever, there's other little things that people have. Your financial outgoings are next to nothing, so whatever you sell becomes, you might not even want to sell it. I mean, again, this is something we discussed, the gift economy. So I'm actually going to write that down over here, perhaps. Now, I personally struggled with that idea for quite a while. That was silly, wasn't it? I struggled with this idea for quite a while. I didn't know how it works. Now I do, right? And our other individual, who I won't name yet out of their own privacy, I haven't asked if they want to be named, their thought process and mentality on this, and something that they coin radiant economy, extremely interesting. An element that we're wanting to bring into this idea that would be better coming from their mouth than mine, out of respect for the fact that they were the one that thought about it, and I think it's brilliant. So the other element is radiant economy. Ambiguous for now. We'll explain that later on, and I hope that that's enough for you guys. Teaching, yeah, there's a million different ways that people can teach. There's a million different ways people can sell. To even begin to go into it is just not enough, but I'll try, in the sense that you've got crafts, your produce, you'd have honey, you'd have vegetables, you've had fruits, nuts, you could maybe make things, you can make clothing, there's all sorts you could do. All sorts that you could do. And again, it's all about coming down to everybody consuming only from their acre. Now, this is a transition as well, and I actually, if that individual is still here, somebody did mention about the car that I mentioned. No, I'm sorry, I brushed over that very quickly. This is a transition. Some people might just be able to transition like that and just let go of everything. Other people might need things for purposes. These will have to be factored in. We're talking about people's lives, and so this has got to be considered when you're thinking about people. It just makes sense. I hope that worked. That one we've kind of already covered. How would it work? Sir, good question. How would it work for people who have disabilities? The same answer as the elderly, right? We don't want to put limitations on people coming and living this way of life. Everybody can provide something. Everybody's got something to give, no matter what it is. And so we want to consider these and bring it in. You know, it's going to be on a person by person basis. So, you know, yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Can people choose their own ideas, i.e. Wi-Fi, vegan, etc.? Another excellent question. Obviously, I mentioned about meat production. So I'm vegetarian next to vegan. I think I have eggs and honey. Some people are straight up vegan. Some people still eat meat. We're not. I mean, I personally am. You know, people. I don't always impose my way of life onto others. I'll try to say that. Again, if we're going to live by the acre, if we're going to raise meat, you're talking about many acres to raise cattle, sheep. Does it work? You're just going to have to appreciate we've got to put a pin in it for now. Right, so again, people from all walks of life with different ideas and feelings. The question is, are those individuals willing to have a go and work on living in harmony with other people? That means your mind's got to be in a place of awareness of other people, awareness of your actions towards other people, and vice versa, awareness of other people's actions towards you. This is a much bigger conversation, which I'd like to cover in another video. Might even be titled The Nature of Human Beings, because it's an enormous topic, huge topic. So leave that one with me. Do I have to give up my faith and religion? No. And you're going to be curious as to my response to that. Sounds a bit... No. Again, it's like persecution. It's about people and groups of people. Some groups of people persecute others. If you live in harmony with other people and nature, why should you? You know, would your beliefs then inflict upon... Another massive question, and I hope you can appreciate the realness I'm trying to bring to each of these questions. You know, I'm trying to answer these as they come. You know, no, the idea isn't about anybody sacrificing or giving up what they're doing. It's about, can you live in harmony with others? Can you love and respect and appreciate other people as you would yourself? Huge question. Is that all hippie, lovey? Well, you make your own mind up. But again, it just makes sense. You know, this is the work I've done for years. This just makes sense in regards to living with people, connecting with people, living in harmony with people. A lot of people says, can I do this as long as you don't have the people element? Well, there you go. You know, this is about, you have the acre as your private domain that's yours, you can go back to, but it is about connecting with people. You know, give people an opportunity to come from love, and I think you'd be surprised. So, again, that's all I'll say. I've covered that one. Do I have to build a structure, or can I live in a tiny house or trailer? If you've already got it, if it means, you know, if it's already done, I guess yes. Again, it needs more conversation. It needs more discussion. So I'm guessing the answer is yes. Let's sit with it, you know. And my hesitation, as I want to reaffirm, is simply because there's two elements: living in harmony with nature, living in harmony with others. If they're working, yeah. So, right. I'm going to go as far as I can because it's been a long day, so I hope you guys are okay with that. Is it for single people or families? Easy answer, for everybody. It's for everybody. So whether you are a single person, a couple, or a family of people, it's for everybody. We want to make it inclusive of all people, children as well. That's an interesting question that I'm not going to share right now. I'm not going to share it right now. In the future. Will we... This was, again, quite an interesting question. Will we be told what to do? No. However, living in harmony with people, living in harmony with nature, you know, you've got to have a willingness to want to give, to want to do, to want to live in harmony with nature and people. So, you know, we're not expecting... this is about creating harmony for yourself as well. So a massive question, will we be told what to do? No. Would you want to work together with others? Well, we hope so. You know, would you be willing to work together with other people as long as those people respect you and appreciate you and you do the same for them? Then that's the way we approach it. You know, you gotta have... This is about cooperating with one another, you know, working together as people. And again, give people an environment like this, I think you'd be surprised as to how nice they can be, how relaxed and chilled, because they're not got any concerns of the world that exists today. Right, now I'm going to try and do the last ones. It's a shame actually, because if that gentleman who I've been messaging is still on here, I'm not going to be able to get through your questions. Although, can I just say, you mentioned about power and backups, water supply, heating, housing, soils and sewerage. The answer is yes to considering all of them. Has the land been surveyed for soil? Not yet, it will be. Has it been surveyed for everything else? Not yet, it will be. Again, we're in the right first stages of this. You know, this is an idea that we want to take to the world so that people can appreciate. Yeah, I was going to have to call it a day because I am slowing down massively. It's something that we are heavily factoring in. Okay, something we're heavily factoring in. Will there be work on the land? Will there be work on the land? Yeah, of course. I mean, work, paid work. Yeah, yes. And also gift economy, radiant economy. So I'm guessing yes, and also this as well. It's about integrating into the world and allowing to explore this process of transition. So, you know, it comes into quite a few elements and aspects. Two things that I do want to share that were points that people made which I thought were brilliant. One of them is somebody said, yes, I'll absolutely do it as long as I can give my extras to the homeless, which I thought was a really touching thought that somebody had. And if you're watching this, then brilliant. Thank you so much for suggesting that. I think that's great. The other thing was, as people move from their old way of life into this way of life, if anybody had any furniture or anything that perhaps was left over and it didn't need to go, then finding a way, which I know I'm going to be a right hypocrite here, but again, it's just I thought it was an amazing thought, because this isn't going to go against the Acre, but making it in a way that you could perhaps send that furniture to somebody who really needs it, right? Maybe that's a different country, I don't know, maybe it's elsewhere. Of course, you're talking a lot of acres to send it to a different country, so I just thought it was a really cool idea. You know, instead of it going to waste, giving it to somebody who might cherish it, which is kind of like gift economy, radiant economy. I think it's two really interesting things. So if you want to keep in touch, there's been a lot of comments, a lot of messages. Some of you have messaged saying that, which I do appreciate. I'm trying to get through them all. I'm going to keep doing videos, so the comments are going to pile up, so it might just get impossible at one point. If you want to keep in touch, go to the website, www.guyanearthtrust.org.uk. It's very simple at the minute. We're going to build on it with professional videos, you know, a real proper good website which, you know, explains everything very clearly. It's got a lot on it at the minute in the sense of breaking it down. Sign up to the newsletter, drop us a message. We'll try and get through them as much as possible. I'll try to, if you have any more questions that I haven't answered, that haven't been covered, we'll go on to another live at some point, maybe in the next few days or perhaps next week. We'll see how it goes. Try to answer those questions, keep going through and exploring this topic of idea. Now, we're looking for the money, so if you want to practically help in the actual formation of this entire idea, first plot of land is 1.5 million, second plot of land is about 4 million. So I have no concern with limitations about money coming in. I know there are people out there who would give that in a heartbeat. If you do know anybody, wonderful. Put them in touch with us. So we will keep you updated. There's still a lot of thought going into this. I'm also going to be travelling about a little bit, so I'll try to do videos in as much as I can. And other than that, I appreciate you very much for your time. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Facebook, TikTok, drop me a follow. Do the sharing, do the commenting, whatever it is. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you so much for your time. Take care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. You'll have to see me turning the videos off, so it'll take me a minute.